I'm Kiara Ruiz, a freshman at DePaul College Prep. Currently, I'm interviewing Miss Villegas, a former teacher of mine, about being a first-generation college student. Why did you decide to go to UIUC?
So when I in school, I was a straight A student, never really thought of college. I was in a high school program that at the end when you graduated, if you completed it successfully, they offered you 2 years of community college. So in my mind, that was going to be my route. I wasn't really thinking of like a 4-year college. No one in my family has ever been or was in a community college at the time or anything after high school, either high school dropout or not even probably middle school. So I didn't really know the options that were after I would graduate from high school. I just knew that I needed to do well because my parents always said you need to have good grades, but there was never like a because of this. So my senior year at Prosser, I went to talk to one of the counselors to tell him that if he could help me drop one of the classes because I didn't want to take it. I was doing EMT class with my after school program. It was called CPFTA. And so I told him if I could drop it. He looked at my classes, he looked at my GPA, he looked at everything, and he said that why was I not in honors or other classes? I said I didn't know. Those were the classes that they had put me or offered me. So that was the first conversation. The second conversation he said to come back and check in with him the day after. I did. He said, I'll drop this class, but then we need to talk about college and what you're doing. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So he sat me down and he's like, okay, so what are your plans? I told him the whole like CPFTA offers you the 2-year scholarship to community college. He said, okay, that's great, but why aren't you just applying for a 4-year university? Because a lot of students sometimes tend to do the 2 years, but then never end up transferring and doing their bachelor's. Sometimes they just, depending their experience, they just stay as an associate. So I told him, okay, great, I'll look into it. Realistically, I probably wasn't going to. But it didn't end there. There was an information session for UIUC, and he made me go. He pulled me out of class and made me go to that information session. In that moment, they actually were allowing you to complete the application, and he had me fill it out, apply there. There was still other requirements that we needed to get. You needed to write essays. And I said I wasn't doing them. He's like, you're applying. He got all the other requirements, like my transcripts and all that stuff. He took care of it. And I applied. I thought, because I didn't know anything about college. I thought I was applying to UIC, the one in Chicago. So then he made me apply to DePaul. And then he made me apply to UIC. So when he gave me the application for UIC, I said, I already applied to this. He's like, no, you applied to UIUC, but this is for UIC. And that's where I was like, but I thought it was the same school. He's like, no, there's 3 University of Illinois campuses, and you applied to the one in Champaign. And that's where I was like, okay, great. So I applied to those 3 schools. I ended up getting accepted. DePaul and UIC were local, and the only thing I knew of Champaign, Urbana or whatever, was that it wasn't in Chicago. So I wanted to do that one just because I felt that I never had a great relationship with my parents, but they were really strict, very like, you can't do this, you can't do this. It was always like, you need to be home by a certain time. I started working my senior year, so I felt that I wasn't really asking them for permission as much anymore. It was just more like, I'm going to work, then I'm going out, I'll be back home by whatever time. And I think I just wanted the break from my parents, so I said I'm going to UIUC, and I had never visited the campus. I had never read anything about it. My only decision as to why I decided to go to UIUC was because it was not Chicago and it wasn't local. Because even when thinking about, I considered going to UIC, but when I told my parents, my mom's like, oh yeah, that's fine. You can live at home and just commute. I didn't want to live at home. I think I just needed or wanted the break, let me see what's out there without having my parents with me.
What was more like about the after school program though? Like, what was that?
So it's called Chicago Police and Firefighter Training Academy, It was, you applied for it your sophomore year of high school, and it was for your junior and senior year. So, but it was basically half of your year you spent at the police academy, half of the year you did the police academy. So it was half and half to see if you were interested in one of the fields. There was also like nursing and other programs, but I did the police and fire. And then because I wanted to be a police officer, or want to be a police officer, and so your junior year, once you already did 1 year, they offered you the opportunity for your senior year to do the EMT program, which is an emergency medical technician, which gives you the ability to graduate from high school certified to work on an ambulance. So I did that my senior year, and I graduated with my EMTB license. It was good for 4 years, and I used it at U of I. There was extracurricular there was all these organizations, and one of them was EMS. So that organization took care of like working events. So when there was like football games, basketball games, we were like the first aid people that if something happened, it would be us, and then we would call like an ambulance if they needed like further assistance. So I was able to use my license then. And they were surprised that a freshman coming in already had their license, because that organization offered you the class. It's like a course that you could take, and you take a state test. So it takes about a semester to be able to do it, and I came in as a freshman in college already having that license. So it was a pretty nice program. Besides offering you the opportunity of paying for 2 years of community college, which would allow you to get your associates.
So was it scary when like you first went to college, since like you weren't planning on going far away, and then you did go far away?
I want to say it wasn't really scary. I think I was really excited, because it was the first time away from Chicago. I had never really, my parents had taken us to like Indiana Beach and Wisconsin Dells, but it wasn't like this. I was never allowed to go to a sleepover. I was never allowed to like do a lot of things. So I feel like, oh my God, I'm free. And it was really interesting to see that I wouldn't have my parents to be asking for permission and things like that. So I don't think I was scared. I think I was more just excited. And I was just like, oh, I'm free. And I was looking forward to the excitement of what am I going to do by myself 2.5 hours away from my parents. And yeah.
So like, what did your parents think when you told them you were going so far?
So what did they think? They were excited. Throughout the process of me applying and telling them what I knew, because in my mind, again, I was applying to UIC, and then I found out, and I had to clarify that to my parents. Like, I applied to 3 schools, one of them was over here, another 2. Why? They automatically said, why did you apply to a school that was so far? And I even had to tell them the same things that my counselor told me. Like, it was top 10 or top 20 in the nation at that time when I applied. It was a really good school, and just getting the idea of like, it's a really good school, so they were happy. Once it came to decision like, hey, I am going to that school, my dad stopped talking to me. So it wasn't that he was mad, or I don't know. I don't think I ever had that conversation with my dad. I think it was more of like, oh, like, she's really leaving. It was more, he knew it was something good for me, but I think he was scared, because he had always had control, always knew where I was, that he's like, okay, so she's leaving. How am I going to protect her? I am Mexican. My parents are very, very Mexican when I say that, in the sense of like, you get married, you have kids, and the cycle continues. I am the first one in my family to go to college, so the whole application was big. So I think the idea of my daughter is moving away before getting married and being here was a lot. I feel now to this day, when I bring it up and I try and have that conversation with my dad, he still doesn't. When I told him, I was like, yeah, you stopped talking to me for almost a month, until like the week that you had to drop me off. He was like, no, I didn't. I was like, yes, you did. I don't think he realized how he just like blocked it out, or was just, my dad's never been a very big person that has conversations with you, but I think he took it a lot harder. My mom cried, but was like, well, if this is what you want to do and it's good for you, like, they were I guess they were just sad that the fact that they weren't going to see me every day, and it's not normal for your kids to just leave the house. They leave the house when you're married. Like that's my family. That's how my families have been. So I think more of like they were just in shock that I actually went ahead and did it.